We had another great weekend of wrestling. Minnesota Friday morning and Northwestern yesterday. We fell short on both of them, but individually our guys are improving and they're doing a great job. Again, Eric Barnett upset the number 8 ranked guy. That's he's beating the number 2 and the number 8 ranked guy in the country this year and is doing a great job. Eric Kradinger had a great win Friday against Minnesota, another upset win. And then again, we were lucky enough to get back our 6th ranked Chris Weiler and our heavyweight Trent Hilger for yesterday's match. And so, we have some injuries and we're trying to put together our 10 number ones to start a dual meet for the first time in a long time. But Iowa Sunday, it is an 8 p.m. start. It'll be on BTN. And, hopefully they've been on pause for the last week. Hopefully they're healthy enough and we can get that match in.
We've got a question from Alec.
Hi, Coach. Minnesota, Northwestern, Iowa to end the regular season. That's kind of a tough gauntlet, but does it benefit to end that way with that against that kind of talent going into postseason wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, right? I mean, I keep telling these guys, those teams that we just wrestled, that's the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. You guys, this is what it's going to be like. So we've been preparing for, the national tournament by wrestling these guys. And that's the Big Ten. I'm sure you hear all the coaches in this, everybody you deal with in these press conferences talk about how tough the Big Ten is. Well, this is legit. Every week in and week out, we're wrestling the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and sometimes what the finals would be at the NCAA tournament. So it's been in our shortened season, it's been great to make, get this kind of competition to make sure we know exactly where we are heading into the Big Tens and the NCAAs.
Got a question from Diane Nordstrom.
Hi, Coach. How was your birthday?
Oh, it was great. I missed you, Diane.
Question for you on Eric. He kind of had a slow start as a freshman, but really came on there. So what has he been doing this season that has just propelled him?
Yeah, I think you see that in college wrestling, right? Eric was just an 18-year-old true freshman last year. And I think he would – you don't really understand the jump from high school to college in wrestling. I think it's the hardest thing to do in any sport, to be a high school senior and jump right into college wrestling and starting. So we're just seeing the development that Eric had from the experience that he had last year. And, the sky's the limit for that guy. He's won at every level. He's won national championships at every age level. And he's now starting to reap the rewards of competing last year as a true freshman.
Coach, along that same vein, can you talk about what you're seeing development-wise from Kyle Berwick and Jared Kradinger? Because those are two other less experienced wrestlers who are really starting to come on.
Yeah, Kyle's starting to come on, right? And again, this is his first year competing. He's just he's a second-year kid. We redshirted him last year. And again, the thing about Kyle is Kyle is he's 100% bought in. He'll do whatever we ask of him. And, it just takes time. And the thing about this season is we haven't had time. We've been thrusted, practice in January, match start January 8th or whatever that first match was. And I think that's why I keep saying I wish the season was a lot longer, because you're going to see more and more improvement as the weeks go on. We're not even, we're making mistakes now that we would have made in November and December, and we don't have much time to correct them. But Kyle's done a great job. He's in here watching film all the time, working out all the time and doing the right things. And as far as Kradinger, last year was his first year in the lineup, and that's where you see your huge jump was from your first year to your second year being in the starting lineup. And Jared has bought in 100%. He's a tough kid. He wants to win. He's enthusiastic. He's hard-nosed. And we're excited for the progress that he's made from year 1 to year 2. And just happy that, again, we got 3 more years with Jared Kradinger. So we're very excited about that.
Alec had a question.
Chris, I wanted to ask real quick, kind of from a recruiting standpoint, for example, here in Wisconsin, the state individual wrestling tournament was this past weekend, 3 different locations, and normally it's all in the Kohl Center. With the schedule that you're in the thick of right now, with 3 different locations for state wrestling, what's recruiting locally kind of been like in a year like this?
Well, it was easy to watch the state tournament. Luckily, I sat in front of my TV and I had all the state tournaments on one screen, so I was able to watch at least the finals all at one time. And we've got our eye on it, right? The state's great. There's a lot of great wrestling going on in the state, and recruiting's been hard in general. You know what I mean? And the reason why is this campus is what sells people, and we haven't been able with the recruiting ban to have anybody on campus. And so, you know, we're doing a lot of these Zoom calls. We're doing a lot of presentations. And once we get these kids on campus and show you how beautiful it is and the academics that we have here and the support staff and all that good stuff, you know, it's going to be great. You know, luckily for us, we basically sat out our whole class last year. So we've got 2 classes basically coming in this year. And starting in August and September will be 2 classes and 1 coming in. And we're so excited about the future of this program, about the kids that we have in this program, and the kids that we have now and the kids that are coming in this class. This class coming in is what's going to change this program and turn it around and be part of, you know, be the reason why we came here. And we're so excited about it.
Diane had a follow-up question.
So you have Iowa coming into the field house here in about a week. How does it change when they're here in the field house where you have no fans instead of playing in Carver Hawkeye where you're surrounded by 17,000 rabid Hawkeye fans?
Yeah, you know what? I wish we were in Carver Hawkeye with those fans, right? That is a heck of a student athlete experience. You know what I mean? And that's what we talk about. You go into Carver Hawkeye and you can win in there. You can win anywhere in the country. And so for them to be coming here with no fans, I want our fans here to be yelling at them like we get yelled at, you know, and it's a great rivalry. You know, right now they've got an unbelievable team, one of the best in the history of college wrestling. So we always tell our guys, you know, it's an opportunity to wrestle the #1 team in the country. It's you can only ask for an opportunity. And when you see opportunity, how do you seize it? So it's another life lesson here on Sunday to wrestle the #1 team in the country and you know, go show everybody what you're capable of doing. And, you know, there's not going to be any fans, but you're going to be on national TV, you know, in front of a lot of fans. So let's go get this thing done on Sunday night.
Coach, one last question. You spoke about your the unique nature of next year's recruiting class and that it's double. And I know we've had a few wrestlers who took a gap year and we're highly ranked and highly regarded. Can you just tell us a little bit about how those guys are using this gap year and how they're training and competing? Yeah,
we've already talked a little bit about Evan Wick. Evan's got a ton of matches and he's doing a great job. Just went undefeated at what they call it, America's Cup down in North Carolina. He's got a match coming up on the RTC's Cup, February 24th. And then he's got a great training opportunity. He's going to go work out with an Olympic champion the next week. He's doing a great job. And then we've got our college kids or our high school kids that are transitioning that did take a gap year, Braxton Amos, Joe Zargo. And they're doing the same thing. They're getting a ton of matches in and training in the RTC. And it's going to be, it's a heck of an experience, man. These guys they're wait till you get to meet these guys and the way they're going to represent the University of Wisconsin. I'm so excited for those guys to get to single it on. And like I said, they're going to elevate this program. They've already elevated, you know, when they get in the room with the guys, they're going to elevate the practice room and just very, very excited for what this program is, right? We're not having a great year on wins and losses, but we are setting this program up for the future. And it's, you know, we knew it was going to be hard this year. We knew sitting out, you know, Evan, we knew sitting out, you know, Braxton, Joe Zargo, we knew, but it was the right thing to do for those guys individually. And this program is it's going to be sky high here. And, you know, we're excited to finish this year out, go get some All-Americans and, you know, hopefully a couple national champions and then, you know, let these guys start their careers.